Welcome to another episode of Think Out Loud. So we are on the 23rd of April so far. So we've been out of lockdown for just under 2 weeks. And for the first time, I went out last night for dinner with a friend. It was amazing. It was as if the first time of going out for dinner, it was crazy. We were sat outside this little restaurant in Guildford. I'd been in the office that day, had a really busy day. So my head was in a bit of a spin. Met up at about sort of 6 o'clock and the sun was still out. It was lovely. There was tables outside this little restaurant because obviously no eating indoors at the moment. But it just looked beautiful. We walked through the castle grounds on our way down the hill, and there was flowers everywhere. It looked amazing, and I just thought, wow, England and even Guildford in this particular climate when it's sunny, it just is the best place to be. It did get chillier that afternoon and that evening. And then I started thinking how Brits are a little bit mad to be sat outside wrapped up to their eyeballs in coats and scarves and whatever, and maybe drinking that one glass too many of wine just to take the edge off and feel a little bit warmer. But it was so lovely just to be out. And it was just one friend that I met. We were sat down, we had a good old chat, a proper catch up. You can't really do that on Zoom. It's really difficult to communicate on Zoom as you would on a face-to-face meeting. And we were talking about that, and it was something that was really quite interesting because it made me think. I had a recent sort of big group conversation, and sometimes it's really difficult. You want to let people speak and you want to let your friends, update you on what they've been up to, but there's like 8 different faces looking back at you, and everyone's got distractions and kids running around and pets running around and whatever, and partners, husbands, boyfriends dipping in and out of the background, and it's just so chaotic. Whereas if you're actually just sat down face to face, even if it's a big group, you kind of pair off, don't you? And there's 2 or 3 of you that will have a conversation, and then you might lean to the other direction and have a chat with whoever sat to the other side of you. And it's so much easier to communicate, and it's more enjoyable, really. I think staring at your own face after a year of Zooms is really starting to tire. And trying to gauge how people are feeling and thinking, it's very difficult. I find it particularly difficult. I read this article which was about Zoom fatigue a long time ago. It was probably the end of the summer last year. And I thought that really hit the nail on the head. And a lot of people I spoke to last year were saying, I feel so tired. I feel more tired, but I'm probably getting more sleep. And I felt exactly the same. And I think really concentrating on a screen and a conversation between multiple people and trying to listen and read their body language from the shoulders up is near on impossible. And after a period of time, it just becomes really quite draining. So I think Zoom and Teams and all the other platforms that are out there, they do a fantastic job. And without them, we would really be in a difficult position over the last year. We wouldn't have been able to communicate things very well at all. But I think they are sometimes overused. I like picking the phone up and having a conversation with people. Sometimes it's actually much easier to convey what you're trying to say on a phone call. Maybe a bit like a podcast rather than a video. Sometimes there's less distraction. All you have to focus on is the voice. And sometimes that's quite nice. So I've been trying to make a few more calls rather than Zooms lately. I think there's a place for Zoom. I think there's a place for video conferencing forevermore. But I also think it can be overused, and it can, change how you react. It's difficult when people don't put their video on and you're trying to talk to them. I find that's equally challenging. You nearly forget that they're there, or can't quite understand why they wouldn't put their video on unless they're embarrassed or whatever. I mean, I didn't originally like looking at myself back on the screen, but you quite quickly get used to it. And although you may not still like it, you get more and more immune to the fact that you're looking at yourself, which is something you don't often do, other than maybe in the morning if you're brushing your teeth or putting your makeup on or whatever, doing your hair. So you're not used to looking at yourself so often. I went into the office and there was only 3 of us in there, but it was weird actually seeing different sides of people's heads. It was like a different angle, and one of the people in the office has recently got new glasses, and I've seen them like every day on Zoom, but when you see them in real life, they look amazing. And I was like, wow, those glasses really look good. And not that they didn't look good on Zoom, but they just like were so much better in real life. It just looked great. So what am I saying? What am I thinking? Well, I think I'm getting sick of video conferences. There's a place for them, and that's fine. But meeting up with people is really important. And I think as we start to gradually do that and cautiously do that, I think it's only going to be a good thing. A good thing for mental health, a good thing for business, a good thing for relationships and friendships. So hopefully there's some plans that you've got right now to meet up with people that you know, or spend some time in the office with your team. That's all I'm thinking about this week, and I'll catch up with you next week. We have another secret guest, so we'll speak to you then. Bye-bye.